The BJP are, of course, past masters at exploiting every situation to the extent they possibly can. And therefore, this OBC connection is to try and turn the Modi name, which in Gujarat is a backward caste name, and try and apply it to backward castes everywhere in the country, since that's a constituency they're desperately trying to cultivate. In fact, they're even using this argument in Kerala with the Ujhava community, which is an OBC community. Now, it seems somewhat preposterous because both Lalit Modi and Nirav Modi are anything but backward. Lalit Modi is a Marwadi, Nirav Modi is a Jain, and they're both extremely affluent people who have managed to live in the lap of luxury and are pushed off to lead the lives of fugitives in London, having an extremely affluent lifestyle with their ill-gotten gains, if those are what they are, taken away from this country. So these are hardly symbols of backwardness in any shape or form, and the entire charge is such a stretch. But there is very little doubt that that the strategy has both a positive and a negative side. The positive is for them to try and win votes from the OBC community and to consolidate the OBCs behind them. And the negative is, of course, precisely that they might see the opposite happening, an OBC consolidation against the BJP, because the Congress, Akhilesh Yadav, Lalu Prasad Yadav, and Tejasvi, Nitish Kumar, everyone's called for a caste census. And if the caste census produces results the BJP doesn't like and has been resisted by the BJP, that could indeed lead to a consolidation of OBC votes against the BJP. So they have both a push factor and a pull factor in the stand they've taken. The question of a third front has always struck many of us as unfortunate, because there's no question that when you're talking about a BJP winning 303 seats with 37% of the vote, and the remaining 63 going to 35 parties, because there are 36 parties in parliament today, it makes sense that as many of the 35 parties as possible agree on a common candidate against the BJP candidates in their areas in order to ensure that the BJP is defeated. Now, that's never going to be a unanimous kind of situation. There will always be some parties who will disagree and put up their own candidates. But the assumption was certainly that movement towards opposition unity was in the collective interest of the opposition. Now that we have seen parties that have historically seen, or that at least in recent years have seen the Congress as a major opponent or adversary in their states, parties like Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal, TMC in Bengal, Mamta Banerjee, Akhilesh Yadav in UP, and KCR in Telangana, have all come out defending the Congress and Rahul Gandhi in the disqualification matter. It certainly suggests that this is a very good moment to try and get them together on the same platform. Also, the fact that 18 parties sat with the Congress and went to dinner with the Congress this week in Delhi is also a suggestion that many parties are beginning to realize the truth of the adage that united we stand, divided we fall, and that the BJP would be much happier being able to pick off each individual party and knock them down. So if they're all together, they would be stronger. I think this is a very interesting development in opposition politics that we should all be watching to see how it evolves. I think it's very clear that the BJP has scored a self-goal in the process of hounding Rahul Gandhi in this manner, because the public sympathy that I've seen, I'm of course in Kerala for much of this time, but even generally from across the national media, one gets a sense of the public pulse. It does seem as if the public thinks that the BJP has gone too far. It's a common sense question to turn around and ask people, even if you don't like Rahul Gandhi or you don't like the Congress party and you don't want to support these people, would you, as somebody committed to Indian democracy, as a voter in our democracy, agree that it's a good thing for our country that a prominent opposition leader's voice should be silenced? Is it a good thing for our democracy if an opposition leader is put in jail for a couple of years over one sentence in a campaign speech, and that he is then prevented from actually having his voice raised or raising his voice in Parliament? You know, when you put it this way, it's very clear that no Democrat is going to agree that this is a good thing to be happening to our democracy. And I think that the BJP has really shot itself in the foot with the way in which they've gone after Rahul Gandhi. Even people who might not otherwise have been entirely inclined towards Rahul Gandhi feel this is palpably unfair and are acting accordingly. And I do believe that there is every opportunity for the Congress to feel strengthened and empowered in a battle ahead, particularly if on this issue the opposition is united to fight this problem together. The issue of crony capitalism may seem somewhat esoteric to the general public, but certainly for those who are following politics closely, it is an important issue. But I would agree that it cannot be the only issue. In fact, the principal issues affecting the Aam Aadmi in Indian politics have always, for the last couple of years, centered on the economy, issues of unemployment, record levels of unemployment, inflation, unsustainable price rise in relation to stagnant or even reduced incomes for the bulk of the population. Those are the kinds of issues. And, you know, the government boasts of giving 80 crore people free food grain, which itself is an admission of how badly the economy is doing, but is also a desperate attempt to say that we're doing the best we can to shield you from the onerous pressures of the economy. Is that enough? We'll have to see. But I think for the Congress party and the opposition to raise multiple issues, with the economy being a principal one, and crony capitalism and governance issues, hollowing out of institutions, stifling of freedom of the press, stifling of the voice of the opposition, all of these issues will also have to be raised in the 2024 election. Very clearly, those who admire Mr. Modi will vote for the BJP come what may. And those who dislike Mr. Modi may still vote for him because they fear there is no alternative. So it's indispensable for the Congress and the opposition to constitute a credible alternative with a coherent and serious alternative vision for the country, which should be manifest in our speeches, in our election manifesto, and on the campaign trail. On that, I have absolutely no doubt that the Congress's campaign has to be much more substantive than just being anti-Modi, because that has limitations. It has to actually show to the people what are the problems they're enduring that we are conscious of, and what specific suggestions we have to remedy those. And I think that is important. I'm not part of the party leadership, so my views beyond that are irrelevant, but I do hope we come up with a credible approach on this. I believe this habit of whataboutery, of pointing to the emergency every time that some undemocratic action of the government is mentioned, or pointing to the anti-Sikh riots every time Gujarat riots are mentioned, and so on. All of this kind of whataboutery actually does no one any good. The important issue is India has evolved since those days. India is in a particular place now. What are Indians prepared to tolerate today? And if Indians say they're quite happy with an electoral autocracy, and they don't particularly feel any need to have a democratic opposition being heard, that they can vote accordingly. If they would like to see the democratic opposition get its space, if they'd like to see a free press, a genuinely vigorous autonomous institutions, a genuinely autonomous and vigorous institutions in the country, and all of the other things that we stand for and defend, particularly preserving the diversity and pluralism of our society and the communal harmony that has been such an important ingredient of what India is all about for the last few decades. If they value all of those things, then frankly, the time will come when this kind of messaging from us will resonate effectively with them. As far as I'm concerned, the Congress's past may involve mistakes. I myself have been a critic of the Congress in the past, as you know. I have written against the excesses of the emergency and some of the other mistakes that the Congress party has made in the past. But we're not fighting the elections of 1977. We're fighting the elections of 2024. And I want to be, frankly, a politician who looks forward and not as someone who's stuck permanently in the past. As you know, the top job in the party is held by Mr. Kharge, not by Rahul Gandhi, and therefore your question is slightly beside the point. I certainly am one of those who's raising their voice to ensure that Rahul Gandhi does come back as a member of parliament and as a prominent leader of the party. His Bharat Jodo Yatra brought a lot of laurels to the party, and I do believe that we should be looking forward to seeing Rahul Gandhi continue in politics rather than speculating about what any of us would do in the event that he is out of contention in electoral office. Thank you.